Hey everybody, I'm Derek. Welcome back to the shop. Today I've got a video that I've had kind of requested a few times over the last year or so. Barely out of the camera here is my Central Forge 6-inch bench vise from Harbor Freight, and I've been asked for some updates on it, and then I also had some criticisms on my what you need to know when buying a bench vise video. So I kind of wanted to talk about, I guess, how the vise is doing itself, and then how I've been using the vise and how my mind's kind of changed a little bit since I made that last video. So as you can tell, the vise has been very well used, especially since my review. It's been used even more. It is the primary bench vise in the shop. In fact, I only have like a little woodworking vise mounted under the bench here that I pretty much never use. And I gave away the old Irwin. Yeah, I had that clamping one that I actually keep in my chainsaw box now for clamping down my chainsaws to my truck bed to do some sharpening on the blades. This is pretty much the only bench vise I use in this little shop of mine, and it's still going strong. I have nothing but good things to say about it still. I have absolutely no regrets in buying it. It still opens and closes pretty smooth. The jaws are still in pretty decent shape. I expect that I should be using this thing for years and years to come. Honestly, no complaints whatsoever. Someday when I build a much bigger shop, I would not mind buying one of those cast steel, or they might be ductile iron. I don't remember exactly what they are, but they're like $200 for like the 6-inch, and it's supposed to be a heavy duty vise. So I would like to buy one of those in the future, and then maybe just use this one strictly for welding since it's already kind of beat up, and then use that other vise in the future for like really heavy duty vise tasks where I want to keep the jaws in really good shape. I don't want to warp anything or change anything or just mess anything up. But this vise fulfills my needs in every way. So two things that I've said about this vise in the past, or vices in general, or cast iron vices in general. Number one, that they're just a really good hand, and number two, that they're not a metal brake. And I'm about to show you that I actually have been using this as a sheet metal brake for bending and shaping steel, and it's honestly done just fine with that. I'll just tell you, I was wrong to say that it's really just a good strong third hand. It's more than that. I put things in the vise, I've hammered on them. I broke a lot of my own rules when I was saying, from what I was saying in that video about what to know when buying a bench vise. But here's what I have to say about that though. When I'm doing that, I'm thinking it's going to hold up just fine, and that's why I'm doing it. But when I go hammering, taking a hammer to a piece of metal in here, or an object that I'm holding in the vise, and I just start hammering on it, I am willing to accept that I might break it, given that it is just a cheap, like $50, $60 cast iron vise. It's not a super high quality vise, and the cast iron bench vises, especially these cheap overseas made ones, you know, the old American ones are probably a different story. They're just not the best made, and I don't particularly think that they were meant to really last forever. But I will tell you that I think you're safe to hammer on them. Definitely think you're safe to shape and bend some sheet metal in them. Just be careful, be mindful, just don't be stupid. And if you are doing something that is maybe slightly abusive, accept that you might break it, and don't fault the vise when you break it. So that's kind of what I would have to say about my changes of opinion. And really, in reality, I think when I said that stuff, I was just trying to be kind of conservative for the video. I probably felt like you could definitely beat on them a little bit more than I had said in that original video. I think the biggest thing is just don't be stupid, you know. Take care of your stuff. Don't expect the world out of this thing. When you think you might start abusing it a little bit for some project or job, accept that you might break it, and it'll probably serve you just fine, and you probably won't be upset when you break it. So just be careful with what you're doing, pay attention, and recognize that a cast iron vise, especially a cheap one like this, is going to have limitations. So there you have it. I used my vise as a sheet metal brake. Obviously I was cutting a nice bending point here, and well, it didn't turn out perfect, but it doesn't really matter because what it's going for, it's not going to be seen where it's going, so it doesn't need to look pretty. But yeah, so you really can use your vise for beating on and a metal brake and abusing just a little bit, but you know, be aware that you are risking breaking that bench vise. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, go subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video.